said, no, it's Meryl. She said, first of all, she never opened her mouth. She didn't say a word. She just sat there. She had a boyfriend who had recently died.
Dustin Hoffman was once the ideal model of millions of female viewers, the perfect dream lover on set. But that glory was soon stained by darkness when Meryl Streep accused him of having touched her chest and slapped her painfully on set. After Meryl, a series of women stepped forward to accuse Dustin of vile behavior, such as groping them on set. That truth sliced through the flawless image he had painstakingly built like a cold knife, sending his once brilliant reputation plummeting into the abyss of disgrace. At age 88, with silver hair tracing every wrinkle on the face that once enchanted audiences, Dustin Hoffman finally spoke up about Meryl Streep. His words echoed like a sigh stretched across decades from the light of glory to the shadows of scandal. Though he acknowledged those actions, he still defended himself. The substances made me lose my mind. Meryl destroyed my life forever. And what he said afterward only fueled public outrage. Meryl Streep destroyed my life forever. In 2017, when Hollywood and the world began awakening to the Me Too stories, a truth thought to have slept for decades resurfaced, exploding into public consciousness. Meryl Streep, a widely respected star, suddenly became the center of a painful memory. People recalled an interview from 1979 when she first met Dustin Hoffman, then worshipped as the embodiment of talent and screen charisma. She said his gaze, his half-sulky, half-dreamy smile. And in that very moment, his hand landed on her body, a gesture that stunned her, and the first thought that flashed through her mind was, this bastard went too far. But the story did not stop at touching her chest. During the filming of Kramer vs. Kramer, Hoffman also slapped Streep without warning, making her cry out in pain. Time passed and the story seemed forgotten. But in 2017, under the light of new movements for women's rights, everything erupted violently again. The media immediately resurfaced the old accusations and reported on many other women who had accused Hoffman, from young assistants to colleagues, causing his name, once a cinematic monument, to be engulfed in a storm of rage. Public opinion erupted. Social media boiled like a raging sea flooded with furious comments. You're a power-abusing predator. Fame and talent can't hide your crimes. Justice for the women you hurt. And amid that storm, Dustin Hoffman had to come forward and apologize. But that apology seemed to soothe no one. After the shocking incident, Dustin Hoffman vanished from the spotlight, retreating into his own darkness, leaving the public and Hollywood stunned, as if he had disappeared entirely. Years passed in absolute silence. No explanation, no sign of return until age 88 arrived, and Hoffman finally re-emerged, sitting before a camera, facing the world, and admitting everything he had hidden all his life. Dustin Hoffman appeared in a bare interview room where dim light fell upon the wrinkles etched across his face. In that moment, all past glory seemed to evaporate, leaving only a deep, haunting shadow. I never thought my life would turn out like this. He sighed, eyes fixed on emptiness. Meryl Streep destroyed my life forever. Everything I built, every bit of glory, is now just shards torn apart by accusations, by the harsh gaze of the public. Sleepless nights had become routine. Each hour reminded him of unforgivable mistakes. Hoffman said he would look in the mirror and failed to recognize the man who once captivated the world with his eyes and smile. Every memory of film scenes of glittering awards now stabbed at his heart, reminding him how fame can be destroyed in a single moment. "I was once a man of light, and now I live in darkness," he said, voice trembling. Hoffman also shared that he tried returning to acting, but every role now came with the label of scandal. Major directors avoided him, colleagues looked at him with caution, and audiences whispered about his past. "The shining fame I once had is now just a collapsed fairy tale," he sighed, eyes red gaze filled with pain and regret. After a long sigh, carrying the weight of 4 decades of remorse, Dustin Hoffman finally opened up, revealing what drove him to cross boundaries. A tragic combination of personal pain, desperation, and inner torment unseen by the world. The gluttonous pig. The moment I saw her, I thought I had to make her notice me. When the interviewer asked about Kramer versus Kramer, his eyes flickered with regret. "I wasn't a good person at that time," he said, his voice heavy, like stones. "I was exhausted. I didn't know what I was doing." In 1978, Hoffman was 41, at the peak of his career. But inside he was lost amid chaos. He was divorcing Ann Barn, raising 2 daughters, dealing with lawsuits, and under pressure to be a real father figure to young Justin Henry. At that time, the late 1970s, Dustin Hoffman was sinking into dangerous habits. While working on Straight Time, his first film as a director, he admitted he had been fueled by stimulants. The grueling workload, relentless schedule, and his own perfectionist demands pushed him toward drugs as a way to maintain energy. According to Hoffman, "I became addicted to them. By this point, one day, I couldn't get out of my seat again. We had to shut down the film. The dependency not only harmed his body, but eroded his mind. Sleepless nights, a racing heart, constant stress. Hoffman was physically and mentally drained. Doctors warned him that continued drug use would drastically shorten his lifespan. Their warnings echoed like an alarm bell. "Every day was a battle with myself," Hoffman admitted. "I drank, I used substances, I drowned in my own pain." From the very first casting session, in February 1978, Dustin Hoffman could not take his eyes off Meryl Streep. At 41, after so many career and personal upheavals, he rarely felt immediate attraction to anyone. But with Streep, something made his heart quicken. Curiosity mixed with desire. "The moment I saw her, I thought, I had to understand her, had to make her notice me," he later admitted. In that first meeting, driven by impulse exhaustion and personal turmoil, he touched Streep's chest. The unexpected touch startled her, and she exclaimed, "You gluttonous pig." But Hoffman only looked at her with a mix of shame and infatuation. "I wasn't thinking. I just lost control. Because I was too tired and in pain. And I have to admit, because I wanted to be close to her." It didn't stop there. On the first filming day, during the opening scene where Joanna leaves, Hoffman slapped Streep for real, without warning. Her cheek burned. Tears flowed naturally. Streep stepped back, shocked angry, frightened. Hoffman looked at her, voice choked. I thought it would bring out real emotion, but I realize I poured my life's anger onto her. Streep later said the moment left her hurt and confused. I didn't understand why he did that. It felt frightening, violating, bewildering, unlike anything I had known. Hoffman's guilt showed it in his eyes, but it didn't ease the tension on set. In April 1978, during the restaurant scene, Hoffman smashed a wine glass against the wall without warning. Glass shards flew into Streep's hair. She gasped, "Oh my God, Dustin." Seeing the fear in her eyes, Hoffman lowered his head, voice trembling. I never wanted to hurt her, but in my mind, everything was chaos. After the glass incident, the atmosphere on set became suffocating. Streep kept her distance, followed the director's instructions, but her ease often revealed caution. Hoffman realized he had created an invisible barrier between them. Yet Hoffman continued his habit of teasing and crossing boundaries. In May, filming the courtroom scene, he referenced the death of John Cazale Streep's recently deceased partner, causing her to cry for real tears born from fresh grief. Streep felt used, forced to endure Hoffman's emotional outbursts while still sensing his despair and inner pressure. Those moments left deep echoes, pushing Streep to protect herself while finishing the role. Throughout the 3-month shoot, tension kept resurfacing in many forms. Script conflicts, disagreements about acting Hoffman's volatile behavior. The strain of method acting, combined with personal tragedy and divorce, caused him to lose emotional control repeatedly, creating a suffocating atmosphere for the entire crew. Every day for Hoffman was an internal war, living the role while wrestling with long-buried negativity. The conflict between the two stars deepened when Streep requested script changes to give Joanna more emotional depth. Hoffman reacted harshly at times, making the air so tense that the director and crew had to intervene. The tension lasted the entire shoot, turning their behind-the-scenes relationship into a stressful shadow behind a cinematic masterpiece. After Kramer vs. Kramer wrapped, the relationship between Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman was far from harmonious. For years, Streep avoided every project involving Hoffman, rejecting all collaboration offers without explanation. She chose silence, maintaining professional distance, leaving the real reason unknown, a behind-the-scenes mystery that lasted decades. This silence persisted until 2017, when the Me Too movement exploded globally. The movement was originally founded by activist Tarana Burke and became widely known after numerous scandals in Hollywood and other industries came to light. Me Too allowed survivors to speak out against abuse and harassment, urging society to rethink how such behavior is handled. And from here, countless victims of Dustin Hoffman began to speak out. Just gently. Don't be tense. The first victim was Anna Graham Hunter, only 17. She entered the set of Death of a Salesman with both excitement and fear. She was an intern, unaware of the power-laden yet perilous world of filmmaking. On the first day, Dustin Hoffman asked her to massage his feet. Just gently. Don't be tense, he said, but his eyes chilled her to the bone. When seeing him to his limo, he groped her buttocks 4 times. She stayed silent and wrote in her journal, "Today I felt so small, I couldn't breathe. He is a predator. In 2017, Anna's story hit the front page of The Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood trembled. Cafes in West Hollywood fell into a heavy silence. Those who once idolized Hoffman whispered to one another. The second case occurred on Broadway in 1983 when Catherine Rossiter performed with Hoffman in Death of a Salesman. Night after night backstage, he groped her chest, buttocks, and thighs. One night, he lifted her skirt, exposing her body to the entire cast. She looked into his eyes, shaking. How can the same man who helped me get this role, who praised me, also be the one who abuses me? Her self-esteem shattered with each act, each crude comment. Catherine still keeps backstage photos from 1983. Hoffman smiling widely, with his arm around her waist, while her eyes look empty, as if her soul had left her body. She remembers the nights behind the curtains, his hands roaming over her chest, buttocks, thighs, not once, but hundreds of times. She remembers the day he lifted her skirt, exposing her body, as the crew laughed. She remembers crying in the dressing room, too afraid to speak, because that role was her only chance. At the same time, a third victim spoke up. Corey. Thomas, 16. A friend of Karina Hoffman's daughter met him in New York. She remembers the summer of 1980 like a nightmare. She was 16, invited to a hotel to wait for Hoffman. He entered, removed his shirt, then his pants, and stood there completely naked. She froze, unable to run or look away. He sat down, stretched out his legs, and told her to massage them. She remembered the smell of cigarettes, sweat, and the trembling in her hands as she touched his skin. Her mother, a black school teacher, never knew what happened until Corey burst into tears on NBC Nightly News years later. Corey was terrified, feeling physically and mentally violated. She remembered Anna's words. I knew instantly her story was true. It was exactly what happened to me. Fear kept her silent for years, but bitterness filled her heart. Then came the fourth victim, also assaulted by Hoffman. Melissa Kester, a newly graduated actress in 1987, sat in a recording booth for Ishtar. Her boyfriend was nearby, yet Hoffman slipped his fingers into her pants. Melissa froze in terror, feeling utterly violated. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there frozen. She thought, heart pounding. There were also many unnamed victims, including one assaulted in a car after the Ishtar wrap party. Hoffman then coerced her into coming to his hotel, manipulating her into sexual acts. She trembled, heart racing. He manipulated me into a next meeting. The trauma has haunted her ever since. Another young woman around 20 reported Hoffman repeatedly groping her chest and buttocks backstage. Each time, her dignity felt torn apart, bit by bit. With no witnesses, she stayed silent to protect herself. Other victims from the early 1970s, including a 15-year-old who visited Hoffman's home, recounted him exposing himself and masturbating in front of them. Each story is a shard of fear, shame, and abused power woven into a long-running pattern of predatory behavior. When the Me Too movement erupted in late 2017, these victims began speaking out. Hoffman denied everything, calling it defamation, but issued a general apology. I respect women and feel bad if anything I did made them uncomfortable. The testimonies still echo like unhealed wounds, reminding the world that power and fame must never be allowed to trample dignity and safety. Those accusations are nothing but stories made up to feed off my fame. More than 4 decades have passed since Kramer vs. Kramer was released. Yet the shadow surrounding Dustin Hoffman still carries a haunting traces. The accusations leveled against him from the 1970s to the 1990s suddenly resurfaced amidst the Me Too movement's eruption in late 2017, shaking Hollywood to its core. The reputation of an actor who once captivated millions was abruptly stained by streaks of scandal, leaving fans both stunned and furious. In an interview years ago, his voice slow and heavy, his eyes flickering with a hint of defiance. "I will not apologize for what did not happen," he said, almost a declaration of war. Those accusations are nothing but stories made up to feed off my fame. People want me to be the villain, so the story has impact, but I am not responsible for things I did not do. Hoffman acknowledged only one incident involving Meryl Streep, yet his attitude shocked the public. "Because Meryl is famous, everything is scrutinized, so I could do nothing except agree." When she recounted the event, he said, his gaze drifting, as though rewinding time back to 1978. "It's only because of her name that people paid attention. As for the other women, I do not acknowledge them because they crafted stories from imagination or misunderstanding." In a rare moment, Hoffman emphasized his brazen firmness. "If I apologize for every single thing they say, that would be my death, the death of truth. I know I made mistakes in the past, but not the things they describe. I have lived my whole life protecting my craft and myself, and I will not bow to fabricated stories." This brazen stance left the public both outraged and astonished for years. Hoffman did not exploit the victims' stories for self-defense. He merely insisted that he had always respected women and that most accusations were false. This defiant consistency made him both admired and condemned. "There are nights I cannot sleep, and I see the silhouettes of those girls reminding me that I was wrong." However, in his most recent interview, in November 2025, in a small Los Angeles studio, the 88-year-old Dustin Hoffman confessed everything. Dim light fell upon his aged face, deep wrinkles etched by time and years of turbulence. He sat silently, fingers intertwined, eyes slowly fixed on the floor, before he spoke in a low voice. "There are things I've never said. Not because I wanted to hide them, but because I feared I couldn't face the truth myself." The reporter asked softly, "Do you regret your past?" Dustin Hoffman inhaled deeply, staring at his hands as though searching for answers, hidden between layers of pain. I regret letting power and fame overwhelm my judgment. At times I crossed the line. I hurt those young girls, and Meryl Streep too, when we were both at our peak. I never dared say that before." A heavy silence swallowed the room. The camera recorded nothing but shame and remorse trembling in his voice. Hoffman lowered his head, sighing. "I cannot believe I let that happen." The power of an actor sometimes makes you think you can control everything. But then I realized I couldn't even control myself. He raised his head, eyes wet, staring straight into the lens. I thought I was giving everything to art, to the role, to method acting. But in truth, I was exploiting those around me, those young women, and even the colleague I once deeply respected. I turned passion into someone else's nightmare. The reporter sighed, silent, letting him continue. Hoffman pressed on. I am not making excuses, nor offering easy apologies. I know an apology is nothing but a useless piece of paper when the pain is already carved deep. I just want to admit that I was wrong. I crossed boundaries, and that has stayed in my mind for over 40 years. The camera panned slowly across his aged face, a faint smile flickering, sad, weary. There are nights I cannot sleep, he confessed, voice trembling, and I see the silhouettes of those girls, Meryl. Their images appear, reminding me that I did not do right. I'm haunted by myself. He poured a cup of tea, his hand slightly trembling, placing it on the table as if holding on to the last bit of peace. I am Dustin Hoffman, once beloved, once an idol. And now I am a man facing my past, unable to escape. I cannot return what has been lost. I can only live with the truth, no matter how painful. The interview ended in silence, leaving only the ticking clock and the dim light resting on Hoffman's face. He walked to the door, leaving behind an empty room filled with fear and release. His final words lingered, I cannot change the past, but I can confront it even if that brings comfort to no one. When every effort is rewarded, the journey to becoming a legend. Dustin Hoffman was born on August 8, 1937, in Los Angeles into a modest Ashkenazi Jewish immigrant family. His father, Harry Hoffman, worked as a prop supervisor for Columbia Pictures while also selling furniture to support the family. His mother, Lillian Gold, had once been a jazz pianist, but gave up her career to raise two sons. Dustin's childhood was marked by isolation, always feeling like an outsider, amid constant arguments over money and the survival pressures of an immigrant household. I always observed, but I was never allowed to take part, he once said in an interview, his voice solemn and sorrowful. His high school years were a series of challenges. Dustin was short, shy, and often teased. He enrolled at Santa Monica City College, intending to study medicine, but after just 1 year, he dropped out, feeling no motivation. I thought acting would be easier, Hoffman recalled. In the years that followed, he turned to the stage as a refuge, but the journey was anything but smooth. In 1956, he joined the Pasadena Playhouse, where he first met Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall. However, his non-traditional appearance caused him to be rejected from many roles and even voted least likely to succeed. Family members once warned him, "You're not handsome enough to be an actor." But those rejections only strengthened Hoffman's determination. He moved to New York in 1958, squeezed into tiny apartments with friends, and worked odd jobs just to survive. The next 7 years were filled with struggle, chronic unemployment, endless rejections due to his looks, and even being removed from Broadway by Mike Nichols for poor singing. But everything changed when he joined the Actors Studio and studied method acting under Lee Strasberg. If not for the Actors Studio, I probably would have disappeared, Hoffman admitted. Method acting allowed him to transform childhood pain and personal tragedy into performance strength. His breakthrough came in 1967 with The Graduate. Mike Nichols hesitated at first due to his appearance, but Dustin poured all of his life experience, fear, and shyness into the role of Benjamin Braddock. The film became a phenomenon, earning $104 million and giving Hoffman his first Oscar nomination. Then Midnight Cowboy, 1969, turned him into Hollywood's ultimate outsider. His portrayal of Ratso Rizzo, a poor, sickly street hustler, repulsed and moved audiences simultaneously. All his efforts living in poverty, going sleepless for 4 nights to get into character fasting and avoiding showers were to merge with the tragedy of the character. These hardships proved one thing: Dustin Hoffman was never mediocre. He lived every role to the fullest. The 1970s and 1980s brought steady growth. Little Big Man, Lenny Papillon, and especially Kramer vs. Kramer, 1970, where he drew from his own pain of divorce to embody Ted Kramer. The Academy Award for Best Actor was proof of 2 decades of relentless effort and persistence. Every role carried pieces of his soul and personal experience, making Hoffman the actor of the people. Even after achieving fame and wealth, Hoffman maintained a disciplined lifestyle devoted to craft. He once shared, "I am an outsider, but that is my strength. Every role is a part of myself. I never pass up the chance to live it." His determination transformed an isolated, rejected young man into a new Hollywood legend, a living testament to talent, perseverance, and courage. Regarding his personal life, Dustin endured years of chaos. Dustin Hoffman first met Ann Byrne in 1963 in New York while struggling in theater and still unrecognized. The relationship led to their wedding on May 4, 1969, just months after the massive success of The Graduate. Ann had a daughter, Karina, from her previous marriage, and Dustin adopted her as his own soon after the wedding. Months later, they welcomed their second daughter, Jenna, living together in Greenwich Village, where Hoffman witnessed the 1970 Weather Underground bombing, a memory etched into the tension-filled, volatile era of Hollywood. His marriage to Ann lasted 11 years, but career pressure and personal turmoil kept their relationship strained. During the filming of Kramer vs. Kramer in 1978-1979, Hoffman was going through a real divorce and used his personal agony to live the role of Ted Kramer, contributing to his Oscar-winning performance. The divorce was finalized on October 6, 1980, leaving Hoffman emotionally scarred, leading to substance issues and insomnia. As he later admitted, "I was exhausted from divorce and drugs." Just weeks after the divorce, Dustin Hoffman married Lisa Gottsagen, whom he had known since childhood through family connections. Their true reconnection came in 1976, when Hoffman was 39, shaping what became their lifelong bond. They married on October 21, 1980, and built a lasting family with 4 children, living mainly in Los Angeles while maintaining homes in New York and London. Lisa once said, "I knew I would end up with Dusty, and my life would be traveling with him," reflecting their deep attachment. Over 4 decades together, Dustin and Lisa remained private but close-knit, always prioritizing family and traveling together. They rarely appeared on red carpets, yet they remain recognized as one of Hollywood's longest-lasting couples, a testament that amid Hoffman's turbulent career and personal tragedies, he still found peace within his family. This illness has made me feel more fragile than ever. At 88, Dustin Hoffman is no longer the youthful face that mesmerized audiences for decades. Instead, there is white hair, deep wrinkles, and eyes tired yet seasoned. Years ago, he faced one of life's harshest battles, throat cancer. Doctors warned that continued delay would drastically shorten his life, and each long night, Hoffman wrestled with fear medication and the dull aches in his throat. Treatment drained him physically and mentally. During days in the hospital, Hoffman often stared out the window, reminiscing about the golden era of the graduate Kramer versus Kramer, the roles that turned him into a Hollywood icon. He sighed softly. I once thought I was invincible, but this illness has made me feel more fragile than ever. But amid the darkness, the light of family still shone. Lisa, his second wife, has been his unwavering support since 1980. His 4 children with her, along with 2 from his first marriage, remained close, surrounding him with warmth amid life's storms. Lisa stayed by his side through every meal, every pill, every medical checkup. Whenever asked about his illness, Hoffman forced a weary smile. I am not afraid of dying. I am afraid of missing the last moments with my family. His voice carried a sorrow, steeped in decades of triumph, scandal, and contradiction. Despite illness and age, he occasionally appeared in public, on the streets, at small events, or lending his voice to animated films. Observers noticed his slow pace, heavy steps, but his eyes still sparkled with curiosity, wit, and the humor so distinctly. His Dustin Hoffman, no longer a screen legend, but an old man carrying all his glories and wounds. During sleepless nights, he sat alone in a quiet room, listening to the ticking clock and revisiting memories. Each role, each Oscar, each spotlight became precious recollection. Maybe I will never act again, he whispered, but my family is still here with me. Hoffman understood his health no longer allowed him to dive into demanding roles, but he found joy in simple things: walking with Lisa, reading, listening to jazz, talking with his children and grandchildren. These small moments became medicine, healing some of the damage left by time and illness. In the darkness and lingering pain, Dustin Hoffman remained a father, a husband, and a living symbol of resilience. Amid life's tragedies, illness, old age, inevitable loss, he still found a measure of peace in the warmth of family and the quiet, precious everyday moments. The relationship between Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, from their early collaboration on Kramer versus Kramer to the later shocking accusations, remains a complicated story woven from talent and scandal. One was a screen legend, a single father on screen, the other, Hollywood's leading actress, and between them lay moments of creativity and tension, sometimes crossed to professional boundaries. Across the years, those events continued to haunt both of them, sparking endless public debate. Was Dustin Hoffman a victim of circumstance and pressure, or truly at fault in the eyes of the world? And you, when looking at both sides, what do you think of Dustin Hoffman, a genius in acting, or a man with unforgivable mistakes? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story intriguing and wanted to explore more secrets, scandals, and hidden corners of Hollywood, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos.